So there's another Aaron. You said there could only be one.
There can only be one. Oh yeah, that's right. This one is spelled with an E. This one's with an E. Yeah.
All right, I'll let it slide.
I just put two and two together. I was like, oh yeah, Star Wars guy's name is Aaron. That makes sense. So I thought it would be fun to. I have another article that I wanted us to look at, and why is my
awesome
up right here? What is going on here? What is this? Let's get out of here and let's go to my bookmark because that's what I want.
Awesome.
So there's a cool article that I've seen, and this one is 25 like really amazing facts about Star Wars that even fans apparently didn't know. Me and Nico, we looked at last night. We did one where it was like actors that you never knew that were almost cast in Star Wars, and there were a few that really took me by surprise. Like I really legitimately like did not know, like Tupac, for instance. I was like, what? I didn't know that, I swear. I was like, okay. Imagine like Mace Windu, Tupac. Like
that'd be crazy.
Crazy, right?
Man.
So anyway, I thought we could go over this one tonight. 25 amazing Star Wars facts even fans don't know. And this article looks like it's from Best Life. So yeah, let's jump in. So the Star Wars movies just might be the analyzed, documented, and disguised science fiction franchise ever created. And yet there's still so much about the movies that even diehard fans don't know. All right. Even if you consider yourself a Jedi master of Star Wars trivia, a certified historian of all things Skywalker and Solo are likely a few jaw-dropping tidbits that will still be news to you. Here are 25 Star Wars facts that may surprise you, no matter how many hundreds of times you've watched the series, and for gags that only fans will get. Here are 30 silly Star Wars jokes that are actually hilarious. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one, R2-D2 once spoke English and was kind of a jerk. I heard this before. Have you heard about this?
Honestly, I have not.
Really?
Yeah,
I think I heard like it was like either in an interview or it was a book that I was reading. I'm pretty sure I heard something about this. Let me see what they say on the bottom of this.
Because between him and C-3PO, they are always like bashing each other.
Yeah, and it would make sense because you like when they're bashing each other, you're like, well, what the hell did R2 say? What is he saying? You know? So yep. I guess it would make sense. Let's see. Even more alarming, he was not the lovable goof and would be that he would become later. He was actually kind of a bully, berating his pal C-3PO with insults like you're a mindless, useless philosopher and you're nothing more than a dim-witted emotion brain intellectual. Wow. So wow. R2 was kind of a jerk in early drafts. Interesting. So he spoke English and he was a jerk. Early drafts. I heard a little bit about this, but that's interesting. Number two, the original Return of the Jedi ending saw Luke Skywalker turn evil. Oh, I feel like I heard something about this too. That I feel like that's a bit of a known fact. Did you know about this?
Yeah, I did. As well as Skywalker was supposed to be Starkiller. So that's when Lucas changed it, of course, because originally Darth Vader and Anakin were supposed to be two separate people, but then it merged and made the story better for it being Luke's father. But yeah, him turning, I asked this question not that long ago, and I was like, what do you guys think the galaxy would look like if he did turn? Yeah. And a lot of people just had a really hard time wrapping their minds around it because they're so used to seeing Luke as this hopeful light in the whole dark side of the galaxy, I guess you could say. But yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. He's extremely powerful.
You know what it makes me think of is what was it? Dark Empire. I never played like the games or read all the books, but I know in Dark Empire, I'm pretty sure that's the title of it. Where Luke turned to the dark side. But he still was like semi in control, and it was basically to destroy the revived version of Palpatine.
Oh.
And it makes me think of that, Dark Empire, which
Mm-hmm.
was, oh God, this was like, I want to say late. Well, yeah, this was like late, early, well, maybe early 90s. I'm pretty sure. I'll post something in the link, in the description. But yeah, that's what it makes me think of when we think of Luke turning to the dark side, where it's like,
Okay.
oh yeah, that's a concept that's been played with but never seen, So that would be interesting. Let's see what's next. Number 3, Yoda was almost a monkey.
Well, that from Empire Strikes Back, that scene right there just makes perfect sense.
Right. Yeah. When you think about that, for sure. Long before Yoda was created with animatronics and puppetry by master puppeteer Frank Oz, the plan was to hire an actual actor, a simian actor, that is, according to the making of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. They planned to dress up a real monkey in a Yoda costume and mask. I never knew that. What?
I didn't know that either. But I mean, for the scene, it does make sense for him to be a monkey there, but still, imagining Yoda as a monkey is still strange to me.
Yeah, that is strange, man. This is the second time we've talked about Yoda in a different adaptation where we're like, what?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yoda as a monkey. Let's see. Number 4, Carrie Fisher slapped Oscar Isaac more than 40 times on the first day of shooting. What? Did you know this?
Yeah, I saw a compilation of it not that long ago, and they're right in that scene. I think when she is demoting him from, I don't remember what rank he was, but he's demoted, and then bam, or it's the slap comes before that, and it's just like slap over slap, and she's laughing and giggling the whole time, and so is he, and it was a beautiful moment.
I thought, and when I first read that, I thought it was just like out of aggression, but no, that as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that was a part of the scene. Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, why would she be slapping him like over 40 times? But yeah, the scene, that makes sense. Oh, that's hilarious, man. What's number 5? Boba Fett first appeared in a country fair parade. Did you know this?
Now, I could be wrong about this, but as I'm reading right there, holiday special, this is probably when he was a super trooper and he was walking along like in a parade.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It sounds very familiar, but it's vague at the same time.
Yeah. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a clip of it too. I think where he's like at a parade, isn't he like actually like on a cool jetpack that's flying down to the crowd? Or am I thinking something totally different? Maybe that's something totally different.
I don't remember if he's walking or if he's on a float, but either way, you and I have the right idea. There's something there that we both know that we just got to dig a little bit deeper in our memories,
But this idea, I'm like, I think I do remember hearing something about it where it's like early appearance. That makes sense. What's next? What else do we have? Number 6, Samuel L. Jackson had his lightsaber engraved with a bad word. What?
I didn't know about this, but I can already guess the word. It's his favorite one.
Right? That's his classic, that's his classic word, man.
Yes.
And of course he could get away with that. Like,
for sure. And that's how he got his purple lightsaber as well. He's like, I want a purple lightsaber. Walks up to Lucas and asks him that, and he's like, okay. And then after he dies, he's like, Mace Windu isn't dead yet, and George is like, all right.
Hey, maybe that's an Easter egg for things to come.
I'm hoping so.
Right?
I really would love to see that.
What did they say about this? While doing an interview on BBC's the Graham Norton show, Samuel L. Jackson insisted that he still owned the purple lightsaber that his character Mace Windu used in some pretty epic battles in Star Wars prequels. But the most shocking revelation, what Jackson claimed was engraved on his lightsaber, which is not suitable for young children. Interesting. I'm pretty sure we can guess what the word is. But that's awesome. That's badass. Number 7, the original Darth Vader is banned from all Star Wars events. What does that mean?
I've never heard about this.
The original Darth, what? When we think of Darth Vader, the first name that comes to mind is James Earl Jones, the voice behind the series' most infamous villain. But the man in the costume was someday entirely different, a British bodybuilder named David Prowse, of course, and rest in peace. And Prowse apparently isn't among Lucas's favorite people. I didn't know this.
Oh no.
As Prowse revealed on his website, which has since been taken down, he has been banned from all Lucasfilm associated events, which includes conventions and other Star Wars celebrations. When he reached out for an explanation, Prowse said he was told that I have burnt too many bridges between Lucasfilm and myself. No other reason given. Lucas declined to elaborate, but rumors abound about the rift, with many believing that Prowse was a bit too vocal about his displeasure in learning that another actor, Sebastian Shaw, would be used for the Vader unmasking scene. For more entertainment insights sent right by your, oh, that's garbage. Anyway, I didn't know that.
Wow.
I did not know that. Interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't know that. But I mean, it in a sense, I feel like it kind of makes sense on one end, not as like a gossipy, drama rumor thing, but more so for me as a guy who, like, I go to conventions like all the time. And I know, like, oh yeah, faces that are pretty typical that you see. And when I think of David Prowse, I'm like, yeah, man, I never really seen him like in, I guess, in state, any type of conventions, maybe there's other ones that he has been to, earlier back in different years, but I'm like, yeah, I guess as I think about it, I mean, I don't know if you can recall seeing him in state, like at certain events, but now that I think back, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember.
To be honest, no. I mean, I've obviously seen James Earl Jones and other events, but not anything that I've seen David Prowse in. I even forget half the time that he's the one that's in the original suit.
Yeah.
But that's why, because we don't see him around very much. Like, he's not a poster child of Star Wars, but at least for the years that this was big, he wasn't really involved at all. And I think, just based off of what that is, obviously, I think both sides don't want to elaborate too much because they both probably said things that were probably terrible to each other and don't want to really take accountability for. But I don't know the guy, so I don't know if he just has a temper, said some terrible things. Like, why isn't my face the one being unveiled? But if I were him, I would say, hey, look, if you think that this guy actually looks more like a war-torn, beaten up Anakin than I do, hey, go for it. I'm just happy to be in this suit. And maybe he was a little too entitled. I don't know.
Yeah. And it makes me think of what else? There was somebody else. Man, it's the guy. I just did an article on him. He played Wolfman. It was like a recent one, like a few years ago. And he was in Rise of Skywalker. I forget the dude's name, the actor. But anyway, he declined playing Darth Maul years ago, for the prequels because, there wasn't, there was no lines. Which, I mean, hey, it's understandable as an actor. You're like, hey, I want screen time, I want lines, and I forget the guy's name. But anyway, he declined. He was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's like a weird character with weird hair, kind of like at the end. If you remember where Howard the Duck was, he like had this weird shop. I can't remember the actor's name. Why am I so bad at this? I'll remember it later. But he for that reason too, like certain things in script or certain decisions that were made, he didn't agree with and declined the role. So I can only imagine for David Prowse, in that same sense, but maybe it was just a little more, drama filled in, in that situation. So interesting.
And also, even I mean, Star Wars was obviously a big hit in the 70s when it came out, late 70s, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that they really, the actors, understood how big like this was going to be.
Oh yeah.
Like, even though those three movies came out, like, of course, as far as I know, it was worldwide, but like, it's gone, like, you could ask someone from a totally different country that does not speak your language and you say Star Wars, and more than likely they'll be like, oh, I know a little bit or something.
Yeah.
But that's how projects always start out. When you're first building something, not many people care because there's
Yeah.
not much hype around it. And then the moment it starts popping off, everyone cares. Everyone wants to be an actor in it. So
Yep.
that's the vibes I was getting from the guy who wanted to play Maul but didn't like how he didn't speak yet. But only
Yeah.
if he would have stuck with it, maybe he could have voiced him in, Rebels or Clone Wars. You never know.
Seriously, man. And gosh, why am I spacing out on his name? Who was my guy, the martial artist? I know his name. I feel so terrible. The play
I don't
ball.
remember his first name, but I know his last name's Park.
Ray
Something
Park. Thank you.
Ray Park.
Your
There we
lightsaber.
go.
Thank you. Ray Park. I've
You're
seen him
welcome.
a couple times at conventions, man, and he's awesome. That dude is
Mhm.
badass. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, man. Like, yeah, if they had just, and again, Star Wars was definitely one of those things that nobody at the time knew was gonna blow up into this worldwide phenomenon, and
Mhm.
it was like, yeah, if you just would have, stuck with it. And even for the prequels, I would even argue for the sequel trilogy in certain moments, because Star Wars, I'm kind of going off on a tangent in this moment, but hear me out. Hear me out. I think Star Wars has this thing, like, if you give it time, it's like a wine. The longer it sits, the better it tastes. You know what I mean? And that's what
Okay.
I've seen with the prequels. I was just thinking about that today. Like, the Star Wars movies I grew up with, first was VHS, original trilogy, and then every midnight release was prequels. I remember going to those. So that was the ones I grew up with in theaters. But then years later, as I grew up, I remember the hate that was kind of surrounded by, the prequels. And then years later, fast forward, I remember now people loving the prequels, and you kind of see this thing, it circulates with Star Wars, and now we're seeing it with the sequels. And then it's like 10 years from now, we're going to be old and gray, and everyone's going to do, oh, the sequels were the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna call them freaking liars. I'm like,
Right.
you were just jumping on the hate train like everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. So I get totally what you're saying. And it's like, it's like a fine wine, man. Just give it time. Give it a
Yeah,
time.
and not only that, it's new. Not many people like new things at
Yeah.
first, but then
Yeah.
they're like, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Absolutely. Adam Driver recorded his last lines as Kylo Ren in his own closet. All right. Hey, a lot of people have been doing things from home over the last few years. Well, this last year or so. So, hey.
Uh-huh.
And actually, as I think about it, you know what's funny? I think, was Sonic the last movie we seen in theaters, or was it Rise of Skywalker? I can't remember. I think it may have been Sonic. Yeah, I think it was Sonic. But I seen Rise of Skywalker was the second, the first one I seen before, COVID actually hit and things shut down.
Yeah.
So that's funny to think about. But I didn't know that. Did you know this?
Honestly, I didn't know.
In his closet. According to Matthew Wood, sound editor on The Rise of Skywalker, changes to the script came in so late that he had to travel to the home of Adam Driver, who played villain Kylo Ren throughout the latest trilogy, to record him delivering a few new and necessary lines in a rather low-tech place. Interesting. Well, there you
Okay.
go.
That's
you
cool.
can record anything in your closet, man.
Damn right.
Number 9, the first Star Wars almost caused an actual war. What?
Okay. I think that they film this in Tunisia, if I'm not wrong. But oh yep, I'm right. Yeah, the perfect setting in Tunisia. Wow.
Can you read this?
Yeah, if you want me to read it,
Yeah,
sure.
go ahead and read that.
To create the barren desert planet of Tatooine, Lucas found the perfect setting in Tunisia. What he didn't account for was how even a little this doesn't fit right, but I'll read it anyway.
Yeah.
How even a little movie production could lead to socio-political tensions. Tunisia shares a border with Libya, which at the time was ruled by dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Ooh, terrible place to be.
Wow.
Reportedly, the Tunisian government received threats from Gaddafi, warning that a conflict was inevitable if they didn't remove a military vehicle from the Libyan border. The military vehicle in question was actually a Jawa sandcrawler. Lucas agreed to move the prop because, well, inciting an international incident isn't a great way to publicize a movie.
Wow. The irony, right?
Yeah. I mean, they obviously have to have some kind of scouts or someone who's looking ahead that can see what this is, from a distance at least. Yep. And Gaddafi was a terrible human being. He got what he deserved in the end, but still, like, what military vehicle looks like a Jawa sandcrawler? You tell me.
Right, none that we know of.
Yeah,
that's wild, dude. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. But it puts something else in perspective for me. I don't know if you've seen this. There was a pretty cool. I didn't watch. I think maybe I watched the whole thing or bits and pieces of it. There's a fan film, a Star Wars fan film on YouTube that got a lot of good attention, and it's like it plays on this narrative, I think, where it's like where the idea of Star Wars came about and Indiana Jones, and it's kind of this love tribute to George Lucas. But it's like playing on a little bit of this narrative. I can't remember the title of it. I'll post it in the description. Okay. But I don't know if you've seen that, but as you were reading through it, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is kind of where where that truth of the story came from, which now makes sense to me because I never heard of this. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So number 10, Chewbacca had to pretend. Chewbacca had to be protected from bear hunters.
This makes sense. I mean, look at him. From a distance, you'd think, okay, if he gets on all fours, looks like
yeah. Like on actual set, I wonder if maybe that makes sense.
That's and funny. Sasquatch hunters apparently, or people who are like trying to hunt down Bigfoot.
We found him.
There he is.
Oh my gosh. The Sasquatch, they originate from Kashyyyk. So there you go.
Yep.
That's hilarious. 11. Sir Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan, hated Star Wars. I knew this. I heard about this. He felt like he was detached from, the youngsters, as he put it. And his character was kind of, more of this older hermit, apparently, So I do remember hearing this over the years for sure. What about you?
The only thing that I know about a Star Wars actor who actually disliked either their character or just kind of getting tired of it was Harrison Ford. He was just, by the time of the sequels, he was just so sick of it.
Yeah.
And he was just done. And that actually, of course, you only see him in the movies and maybe some interviews and stuff. And so I don't really follow the actors too much. But when I first learned that, and I was like, man, he seemed to have had such passion in the 70s and he plays his character so well. I wonder why he just was excited to just eliminate the character. But all right.
Yeah. I think, I can't speak for him, but I wonder if it's one of those things of like, it's I use this example in another video where it's like, it's the Superman effect, like once you play Superman, that's all everybody can see you as, and it's hard to, like, hey, you're an actor and it's like, I have these other roles, I'm known for these other things, but none of that shit matters. You're Han Solo, But it's again, it's one of those things, like you said from the beginning, like they didn't know how big this thing was going to blow up and how that impacted so many people around the world that, even though like, we respect the other stuff that they do in their craft, it's just like, hey man, like this is the thing that made them a household name and that's never going to change,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
There's beauty to that in the same token, So another person I would argue who's been, fairly vocal about like not liking an adaptation of their character is Mark Hamill. For at least for the sequel trilogy, he's been he's had his moments of being vocal about like the decisions for Luke. But even so, I'm like, I kind of like what you were saying too, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I follow a few of the actors, not all of them, but I do follow a few. But I don't let their opinion become gospel to the way I see the character,
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's I watched multiple interviews on that, and that's how he felt at first.
yeah,
And that's what everyone was using as an argument. Like, oh, even Mark Hamill doesn't even like Luke Skywalker, but they failed to notice that he did other interviews where he actually took it back and was like, I didn't give it enough time to really like form a proper opinion of it.
Yep.
And now that he's gone over it a couple more times, he's like, you know what, that does make sense for everything that he's been through. For now his age, I mean, who wouldn't want to just go live off in exile and just kind of forget about the whole thing? And it makes sense, and I really do like Mark Hamill. He's one of the actors that every now and again I'll look up just to see what he's up to.
Yeah, no, he's an interesting dude, man. I agree with that, man. Like, it's weird because I was thinking about this today too. I was like, when the sequels, like at least for Last Jedi, the first 2 times I've seen it, I didn't really like it. I liked Force Awakens, which was weird. And then like now, years later, like Force Awakens is my least favorite of the sequels. And Last Jedi is number 1. Like, I love it. It's a freaking masterpiece. But it's weird. I was like, the first couple of times I've seen it, I feel like I was in a different mental state as far as my maturity of evaluating movies. I feel like back then when it came out during that time where I was, I valued, and I'm gospel on this, man, and I try to push people to do and use this way of thinking. But I used to like watch movie reviewers first, people that I trusted and that I enjoy, watching their content. And I'm like, all right, let me see what this movie's about. What do they have to say? And people were just dogging Star Wars, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, just completely dogging it. And then, after I went to go see those movies for myself, I was like, man, are people getting paid to bash Star Wars? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? But I learned a valuable lesson in that moment where it was like, yes, it's good to listen to other people's opinions that you value, but ultimately, do that last. Like, go and watch something, go and play something, or take in that content for yourself first, and then come back and see us, or go and watch a review and whatnot, because then you can evaluate and have your own opinion. And I feel like years ago I was one of those guys that didn't. I would always listen to the majority before like going to see something for myself first, and I'm glad I've changed since then, for sure.
Because there's 2 steps to that. First you have to watch it for yourself, because when I get those questions like, hey, should I watch this, or should I play this, or should I do this, it's like, do it for yourself.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what strangers say or what your friends or family say. Find out for yourself if you like it or not. That's the first step. The second step is the hardest one, is sticking to your guns. If let's say your whole family says the sequels are trash and you watched it and you're like, I really like it. What are they going to try and do? They're going to try and pressure you to change your mind. And it's like, no one wants to let anyone have their own opinion. They want to make them like them, they want to make them fit in. It's like, no, you got to stick to your guns. You got to see if you like it or if you don't like it. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. But when you become toxic about it, that's when it's an issue. And that's something that I think you and I have both learned over the years. And I mean, I used to be like that as well, man. I would just listen to what everyone else says before I even watch something. And then I finally watched it on my own. I'm like, what the hell are these idiots talking about? I like this.
Seriously.
So
no, but you hit it on the nail, man. And it's definitely something that I'm glad I've, changed with, over the years. But
yeah, for sure.
I digress. We still got like 10 more.
Oh, that's not bad. It's all good.
Number 12, there are several direct references to The Godfather throughout the franchise.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Say hello to my little... What, really? Where? I didn't know this. George Lucas is good friends with Francis Ford Coppola and worked on The Godfather. you can see the influence of that film in a few different aspects of
Ooh.
Star Wars, starting with Han and Jabba's working relationship. Okay. Now I don't even have to continue on. I get that. Where you have
Mm-hmm.
like this mobster, underground mentality. Okay, that makes sense. Like in terms of the way it was filmed with certain characters. I got
Mm-hmm.
it. That makes sense for sure. I could see that for sure.
Yeah, especially with Jabba, the way he was going about it.
Yeah.
I get that mafia feel from it.
Yeah. Don't they have like in Star Wars universe, there's the Hutt cartel, like they're the underground, they're the kingpins, so that definitely makes sense. At
Yep.
first I was like, wait, really? But now, yeah, that totally makes sense. 13. Nsync was originally in Attack of the Clones.
Oh my God. Nsync was like the biggest thing of the early 2000s. Girls were just, they were fangirling so hard over him. So I didn't know this before, but this makes sense.
Really? As the request of Lucas's daughter, he invited members of the boy band Nsync to make a brief cameo in the prequel Attack of the Clones on a break from their 2001 Pop Odyssey tour. Lance Bass and Justin Timberlake opted to pass on the opportunity, but the rest of the band agreed to be suited up as Jedi Knights.
Wow.
They even took part in an actual battle, fighting droids in the climatic Geonosis battle. Joey Fatone remembered that the only direction they were given was pretend like you're fighting droids. Sadly, we'll never know if they were convincing as Jedi. Their scenes were cut from the final edit. Interesting. I was just about to say, like, I don't remember seeing anything with other,
Yeah.
Jedi like that. That's interesting.
That's two dick moves in one movie, because
Right.
Lance and Justin opted to pass on this opportunity. They probably thought, you know what, we're big, we're famous, like, to hell with this little nerdy thing and forget that girl. Like, I'm gonna go, I don't know, buy a coffee and go on vacation somewhere. Imagine passing up on an opportunity to be in, the biggest part of the biggest franchise in the world.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
then George Lucas is like, yeah, sure, honey, I'll get these guys in here, have them
Yeah.
dress up, play the part, and be like, hey, at the end, cut it, forget this.
Right. But what makes me think now that you said that too, and this was for somebody else. Oh yeah, so there was an article we read yesterday, and it was about like actors that you never knew who were almost cast in Star Wars. And Leonardo DiCaprio was one of them that turned down the role of Anakin. Like he
Oh,
almost got to, be Anakin. And it makes sense when I think about it. Like an actor like him who was so big, especially in the 90s. Titanic was huge. His career, boof, everybody loved him. Girls, guys, everybody. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But it's one of those things of, I think, if you get casted in a certain role, your path and journey is going to be a little bit, it can be altered, significantly, if you
Mhm.
say yes to that one thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it's like the Superman effect, like anybody in that role, man, that's what you're going to be known for. And I almost wonder if that was the case, with Justin's decision of like, yeah, I'm gonna pass on that for now, because if I do, and another part to that is like this was the prequels. We remember like what happened with episode 1 and all the crazy backlash that happened around then. So if it was like, hey, I know the drama that kind of happened then, this, yeah, I'm gonna sit out on that. Which I don't know if that was the case, but I can only imagine like
Yeah.
stars like that, like yeah, but still, it's Star Wars. Come on, who cares?
True.
I'll be a
Yeah.
battle droid. You can pay me
Uh-huh.
to be a battle droid. I'll do it. 14. Nobody says the word Ewok at any point in Return of the Jedi.
Which I do know this one. No one says it, but it's in the end credits, or I guess you'd say like post credits or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I never
Yeah.
really, yeah, I guess I never paid attention to that. So they just don't say the word Ewok at all.
Let's see here. I think it's Yeah, I don't see that it says it, that it's in the end credits, but if you Google it, yeah, it's there.
Interesting. Okay.
Because that's what when I talked about Ewoks, there's always someone in the comments that are like, yeah, did you know that they never said it? I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm just covering it. I love these. I will die for these little creatures, and I will live on Endor for the rest of my life with my wife and puppers.
Man, I would love to live on Endor, but I recently did a video on TikTok and people have got me freaking out about Ewok hunt. I don't know if you played Battlefront 2, but everyone's like, yeah, these cute little teddy bears are like demons in Vietnam. And that's what I keep hearing, man. They're like, if you're a stormtrooper and you're playing this game like at night by yourself, you will have everyone's like all the comments about having PTSD about playing Ewok hunt. So
it's not that bad. They're just trying to like scare you. If you're a stormtrooper, yes, be scared, because that game mode, it's hard to see them and they can kick your ass and it's pretty easy. But if you're a good guy, they leave you alone. They love you. They're super kind, super nice.
Or just
as long
wear
as
all
C3P's
gold.
though. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And they'll worship you pretty much, right?
Yes.
So number 15, the Porgs only exist to cover up scene-stealing puffins. Yes, I did know about this. They're actual birds, and they had to like digitally do some stuff to like make them look like porgs. Because where they were filming. Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what birds they're talking about.
Do you?
They're they kind of, I could probably get this wrong, but they kind of
look it up.
Yeah, that'll be good. It will keep me from looking like an idiot trying to explain something.
Porg bird. I don't know.
There it is. Yep, I would have been right. Damn it.
That's it right here.
Yeah, it's black and white with like a orangish kind of beak.
Yeah.
If I just would have explained that, I would have looked a little more smarter, a little more intelligent.
That's what the actual bird looks like, and they just had to alter it.
Yeah, because that would be terrible if someone covered that or filmed it and they're over there just like shooing all the birds away.
Yeah.
They would look terrible.
Oh, that makes sense. I do remember hearing this. I forgot what it looked like, but yeah. I do remember hearing about this. That's hilarious.
Interesting.
Yeah. Jinx. You owe me a lightsaber.
Oh, man.
You owe me a lightsaber, man, and they're about $300. So.
Oh, shit.
16, Darth Maul barely blinks in The Phantom Menace. He barely speaks as well.
Yeah, he doesn't speak and he doesn't blink very much.
Right.
I noticed that almost right away when I finally got old enough to understand what was going on.
Out of all things, that's one of the things that's on. Since we're talking about Maul and we're in Phantom Menace, something I would like to see in Kenobi,
sure,
as like a flashback scene with Qui-Gon Jinn is, so that moment when Qui-Gon is fighting Maul, but they're like in this like lasered gate, you know what I mean, and they're just kind of like sitting there, and Obi-Wan's in the back. And it looks like they could be saying something to each other, but Obi-Wan's back here, so he can't get to either one of them. I think it would be cool if they played on that exact moment and like actually added in some dialogue of like, what were they talking about in that moment? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to see if they did something like that in the Kenobi show, like giving us like, a little something that's it's a throwback, but also adds emphasis to that moment between Qui-Gon and Maul. I don't know. I think it would be cool.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I honestly want to see more of Qui-Gon. I'm tired of like him being kind of outcasted and being put on like a back burner. I mean, he's an amazing character, and whether Liam Neeson wants to do it or not, I love Qui-Gon. I want to see more of him.
Same, man. Same. I hope he comes back. Like we got to see a Force ghost, Liam Neeson. Come on.
Oh, definitely.
They got to make it happen. 17, Chewbacca's voice is a mixture of badger, Lien, seal, and walrus.
Mm-hmm.
You knew this?
I didn't know that. No.
Wow.
I was wondering
growls,
what they mixed
it
it with.
sounds like something both familiar and utterly unique. That's the feature of sound designer Ben Burt, who had come up with a voice for Chewbacca that wasn't just a recording of an angry bear. Interesting. I didn't know that.
No, I did know that Darth Vader's breathing was a mixture. I don't know what other components there were, but it was like a scuba gear that he modified, and every time he breathes in it, that makes the iconic sound.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I could definitely see that. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I wonder
Yeah.
if they're even gonna have that on the list.
Maybe.
Princess Leia was almost played by a sitcom star.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I heard. I mean, there was like a few people that almost got a few of their roles.
Mm-hmm.
Among the many actresses who auditioned to play Princess Leia and New Hope was Laverne and Shirley. Oh yeah, she's dark hair, short hair. She got casted for like some big show and movie. I think she was in American Graffiti. Yep. Yeah, I remember her. We just talked about her yesterday. That's funny. 19. Go ahead
I
and
do
take
know
this
this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, you go ahead and read this one.
Oh, some of the most futuristic props in the Star Wars movies were created with some very unusual materials, like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which I do know this before I read it. It's parts of like a vintage camera, which was really just made of the handle of a vintage camera flash. Bam,
Oh
I'm a
yeah,
nerd.
yeah.
Or the medical droid's mouthpiece in, I can't read any further.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, it's okay. Mouthpiece in Empire Strikes Back, which was just an old school microphone. And then if we scroll down, it's like our favorite bit of prop trickery is in the Phantom Menace. You may not have looked twice at the communicators used by Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but if you did, you might have noticed that they're shaped exactly like a Gillette razor, which or that's because they are not literally, of course, but they were created from the resin cast of a Gillette Ladies Sensor XL razor.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I knew parts of that, but not the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Parts of it, but not the whole story. I seen there was a video that Theory did with a damn it, I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he created the lightsaber and he showed us like the original Darth Vader, hilt. And then he has like a book apparently that's out too that goes into a little bit of the history about the hilt. And I think that part I remember hearing something about that. So that's really cool. And
That's
I
awesome.
think that's the unique thing about Star Wars in general, like with their weapons, particularly, like they never used like 3D print type stuff or anything. Like it was always like real old school actual weapons that were, just redesigned. And I thought that was really cool that they would use and just find junk and kind of match it together.
Definitely. Even a lot of the blasters, if you looked at some of them, one of them could be like a heavy blaster was like a MG42 that the
Yeah,
Germans
yeah.
used during World War II, because that's essentially, what the original trilogy is all about, is like a World War II style thing in the space,
Yeah.
film in the space, and a lot of the blasters, they look a lot like molds from a weapon that was
Yeah.
used back then that they just modified to look space age.
It's badass. And they definitely kept that same process for like the Mandalorian, in terms of that world and the weapons. You definitely can see that was something that was kind of carried on.
Oh, I love it.
Go ahead and take 20.
Darth Vader was almost a very famous actor. No one's real face has been shrouded in so much mystery and anticipation as Darth Vader. For 7 years, the entire universe wondered, what does he look like? Just how gruesome is he? George Lucas knew that when the mask finally came off in Return of the Jedi, it had to pack a wallop. So he briefly considered finding somebody famous, perhaps a legendary British stage actor like Laurence Olivier or John Gielgud. Hopefully, I didn't slaughter that. With a little makeup, of course, to stand in for Vader. But according to the making of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Lucas quickly nixed, that's a new word, that idea, worrying that it would distract people from the story and they wouldn't take it seriously. In his words, but we can still imagine the dramatic emoting that Oliver would have delivered as a dying Darth Vader. How could that not be Oscar worthy?
Interesting. I didn't know that, but he's kind of always done that with the Star Wars movies where, and I like that sense where you, at least for the trilogies of the Star Wars movies, there's always like no names that kind of come into that world. And it does kind of make it new in that sense where you want to focus on those characters particularly, and it doesn't distract from, the story that's being told, which I think that's brilliant. Take 21.
Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford partied with Monty Python and the Rolling Stones while filming The Empire Strikes Back. This doesn't surprise me. I didn't know it, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. It's funny because, and I'm not really going to get into it, but, there were like little things that, like, I guess that's like the dark side of Star Wars, like little things that, you just hear things about different actors, and I think there's been little things that I was like, wow, I didn't even know that about certain people. I don't know if you know what I'm getting at.
Oh, I know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. We're all humans.
But, I was just like, wow, I didn't expect that. And again, part of that's like, I guess I really never followed her to really know her story. And I was just like, wow, yeah. I'm not even gonna see if anyone watching may probably know exactly what I'm saying. It's adults watching here, but yeah, that was surprising to me to find that out recently. I was like, wow. So yeah, but reading that and knowing certain things, you're just like, oh, yeah, right.
We all know how it went down.
Yeah, that's funny.
Let's
take 22.
A 10-year-old Han Solo was almost in Revenge of the Sith. Whoa, that would have been nuts.
Really?
If you've always wondered if Han Solo as a kid was as effortlessly cool as the adult version, we almost got a chance to find out in Revenge of the Sith scene. As concept artist Lien McKig explained in Revenge of the Sith Art of Book, a young Solo being raised by Chewbacca was briefly considered and even sketched out in illustrations. According to McKig, Little Han was an absolute slob. He even had a line in the original script. I found part of a transmitter droid near the East Bay. I think it's still sending and receiving signals. Not too earth-shattering, granted, but still kind of amazing because of that line would have been uttered to Yoda, which would mark the first and only exchange between the two Star Wars characters. Later, the prequel film Solo would fill in some young adult Han's backstory, which, to add on this, it's really crazy to think about. Like, we've seen every character interact with only a certain amount of people, and to think that some characters have just never met, just didn't know anything about each other, were on two different sides of the galaxy, never met. That's crazy.
That's funny. I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Go ahead
and take 23.
Oh, all right. Boba Fett's face was revealed in Empire Strikes Back. Pretty much every kid who saw Empire in the theaters had the same thought. I wonder what Boba Fett looks like under that mask. Well, not to blow your minds, but his real mug is in the movie. He was right there in clear sight. Sans the mask, and nobody realized. You can be forgiven for not noticing, as you would have needed inside knowledge of the production to know what you were seeing. As Jeremy Bullock, who plays Boba Fett, explained in a 2000 interview, one day I was sitting around in the Boba Fett outfit, and I was asked if I would mind playing this Imperial officer, because there is no one to play the part. The role in question was Lieutenant Shekel, a character that didn't even have a name yet. His scene, Bullock said, was in Cloud City, where Princess Leia says, "Luke, it's a trap." I drag her away. Moments earlier, you see me as Boba Fett shooting at Mark Hamill. One scene, and we got a glimpse both of Boba with the mask and without it, and didn't even realize. That makes perfect sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can see that moment. Oops.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Wow.
Damn.
Interesting. Huh. I guess I didn't really. Yeah, but that makes sense. Like if you were on set, you would probably know these details like clear as day. But yeah, looking back, I'm like, oh wow, I guess I do not remember hearing this.
Excuse me. This is
Yoda's original name was Buffy. What? I got to read a little bit of this. Most Star Wars fanatics already know that Yoda's full name, at least in the original script, was Mitch Yoda. I did not know this. Before being shortened to something that rolls off the tongue a little easier. But here's a fun fact that might surprise you. In the very, very early writing stages of The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda's original name was, brace yourself, Buffy. Interesting. His name was Buffy. But that was already taken in another 90s show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But you know what? That was years later. So technically, he would have been the original Buffy.
Yes, that would have made sense. I think people would have loved them all the same, Buffy or Yoda, no matter what.
You know, it's one of those things, like the first video we did where we were talking about, I don't think it was the predictions video. It was another article, I think, that we read of the concept art, where it's like, you know, if they wore this, you know, if the character was changed this way or the gender was changed, you know, would it change the character? Not necessarily. And I feel like it's the same thing with the name. Like, if that's what it was, the character himself still would be the same. But I still love Yoda. I love Yoda, man. You can't beat Master Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
This is the last one. Take 25.
Oh, this is cool. There's a small South Pacific island that accepts Star Wars coins as legal tender.
What?
That's freaking nuts. The small Polynesian island in, I don't want to slaughter this, but New? I hope I said that right.
Yeah, that's how I would say it.
1,500 miles off the coast of New Zealand, which honestly, this sounds like the coolest place ever. Might not be a galaxy far, far away, but according to the Los Angeles Times, it's the only place on this planet where you can pay for goods and services using collectible coins featuring Luke Skywalker, C-3PO, and other characters. Wow, that is cool. I need to go there. I need to get change for like a $50 bill, take all those coins and just go right home.
Wow. Well, I know where I'm planning my next vacation. So
yes. Beautiful place too.
Well, man, I learned some new stuff, and I hope everybody else that's, you know, watching this, you know, will have learned some. And maybe this is just a refresher for some folks. I think there's some little things that, you know, I kind of have forgotten over time, where it's like, oh yeah, I think I kind of remember, you know, kind of hearing certain things. But and even you, Aaron, you like definitely enlightened me on certain parts of history, and we're like, oh really? I didn't know this. So this was fun, man. This was fun.
Yeah, enjoy these.
Aaron, talk to him about Tuesday, man. What's happening Tuesday?
So Tuesday, there's going to be, I think you said 6 of us. It's going to be a full house. We're already going to have watched The Bad Batch. So we're all going to be talking about it. If you have not watched it, as much as I would love for you to join us in the conversation, we don't want to spoil it for you, but we're going to be talking about everything there is to Bad Batch, what we found out about the episode, what we love, what we dislike. I mean, covering every aspect of it. And I'm honestly ready for Tuesday, and I know everyone else is as well.
Yes, sir. I'm ready for Tuesday. It's going to be great. We're gonna have a lot of good friends with us, a good full house. And yeah, man, it's like it's celebration week. So we got, you know, May the 4th, Revenge of the 5th, and everything else afterwards. So we're gonna have a good time. Can't wait for Tuesday. Yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to like this video and subscribe, and follow Aaron as well, Star Wars Guide on YouTube, as well if you're on TikTok. He does a lot of lives there as well, and we both have different content on both platforms, so be sure to follow us both, and we will see you guys back here on Tuesday. May the Force be with you.
All right, take care.